Imagine walking into a room filled with people who are highly skilled, incredibly intelligent, and deeply experienced. Yet they feel lost. They have the talent, they have the resources, but something is missing. Now imagine a different room. A team of people, maybe not the most experienced, maybe not the most talented, but they are unstoppable. They work with passion, they push through challenges, and they never lose sight of the bigger picture. The difference? Purpose. Purpose is the invisible force that separates good leaders from truly great ones. It's the reason some organizations inspire while others struggle to motivate. It's the reason some people wake up excited every day while others count the hours until the weekend. So, the question is, do you know your why? Let's explore how unlocking the power of purpose-driven leadership can change the way you lead, the way you work, and the way you live. Every organization has goals. Every leader sets targets, revenue targets, market share, quarterly earnings. These are the metrics we chase. But here's the problem. Goals are just numbers. They give us direction, but they don't give us meaning. They tell us what we need to do, but they don't tell us why it matters. And when people don't know why something matters, their work becomes just that, work. Think about it. Have you ever been part of a team where everyone was simply going through the motions, where meetings were filled with discussions about hitting numbers, reducing costs, and increasing efficiency, but no one seemed truly energized? It's because goals alone do not inspire people. They might create short-term urgency, but they don't create long-term commitment. Now, imagine a different kind of team, one where the leader stands up and says, "We are here to change lives." One where the purpose isn't just to sell a product, but to solve a problem. One where people wake up every morning not thinking about quotas and deadlines, but about the impact they're making. This is the difference between a company that competes on numbers and a company that competes on meaning. Numbers fluctuate, meaning endures. When a leader starts with purpose, something incredible happens. People stop working for a paycheck and start working for a cause. They stop measuring success in profits alone and start measuring it in the difference they make. They begin to innovate, not because they are told to, but because they are driven by something deeper than just performance metrics. Look at the most inspiring companies in the world, those that have stood the test of time, those that people admire, those that have built loyal followings. They don't just have better products or better marketing, they have a clear sense of purpose. They don't just focus on selling, they focus on serving. They don't just aim to be profitable, they aim to be meaningful. And here's the reality. When people connect to purpose, performance follows. But when people focus only on performance, purpose is often lost. The best leaders understand this distinction. They don't start meetings by talking about numbers. They start by reminding people why they exist in the first place. They don't hire people just to fill positions. They bring in people who believe in what the company stands for. They don't just celebrate milestones. They celebrate the impact those milestones have created. Organizations that lead with purpose build cultures where people don't have to be pushed, they are pulled. They don't need constant motivation because they are already inspired. They don't need micromanagement because they are driven by something greater than themselves. When a company or a leader operates with a strong sense of purpose, people feel the difference. Customers feel it, employees feel it, the market feels it, and when challenges arise, as they always do, purpose becomes the anchor. It's what keeps teams moving forward when things get tough. It's what helps people find solutions when the usual strategies don't work. It's what transforms obstacles into opportunities. Leadership is not about authority. It's not about titles, rank, or the power to tell people what to do. Leadership is about influence. It's about creating an environment where people choose to follow, not because they are required to, but because they believe in what you believe. Think about the greatest leaders in history, the ones who sparked movements, the ones who changed the way we see the world. They didn't do it with detailed plans or strict instructions. They didn't inspire people with rules, regulations, or corporate strategies. They inspired people with a cause. a belief, a vision of something bigger than themselves. A company can lay out a perfect strategy on paper. They can have the best marketing, the best resources, the most detailed execution plan. But if their people don't believe in the mission, they will show up for work, do what's required, and leave. They will do their job, but they won't give their hearts. And when times get tough, when uncertainty strikes or challenges arise, those people won't stay. They won't fight for something they don't believe in. Now, contrast that with a team driven by belief. When people believe in the mission, they don't need to be micromanaged. They don't need constant supervision. They bring their best ideas, their creativity, their energy. They push forward even when the odds are stacked against them. Not because they have to, but because they feel part of something meaningful. Belief is what makes people stay late, not because they're told to, but because they care. It's what makes someone go the extra mile for a customer, not because it's written in a handbook, but because they believe in the service they're providing. It's what makes an employee turn down a higher paying job elsewhere because they aren't just working for a paycheck, they're working for a purpose. Success is often measured in numbers, quarterly profits, stock prices, market share. But if numbers alone determine success, then every company that hit its revenue goals would be unstoppable. Every leader who achieved their targets would be irreplaceable. And yet, history tells a different story. Companies rise and fall. Leaders come and go. Strategies that once worked eventually lose their edge. But there's something that endures, something that outlives products, outlasts financial cycles, and remains long after individuals move on. It's purpose. Purpose is the invisible force that shapes organizations beyond the immediate, beyond the next milestone, beyond the next product launch. It's the reason some companies continue to grow and inspire long after their founders have stepped away. It's the reason some leaders, long after they've left their positions, are still remembered not for what they built, but for what they stood for. Consider the companies, movements, and ideas that have stood the test of time. They are not driven by short-term gains. They are driven by something deeper, an unwavering commitment to a cause, a mission, a belief that transcends numbers on a spreadsheet. These organizations don't just create customers, they create communities. They don't just sell products, they stand for something people want to be part of. And because of this, they don't just survive change, they drive it. When a company operates with a clear sense of purpose, the impact is exponential. Customers don't just buy from them once, they stay loyal. Employees don't just work for them, they become advocates. Investors don't just fund them, they believe in them. A strong purpose builds trust, and trust builds longevity. Without purpose, companies chase trends. They react to market shifts rather than defining them. They compete on price, on features, on fleeting advantages, never realizing that their greatest competitive edge isn't in what they do, but in why they do it. Purpose gives people a reason to care, a reason to choose one brand over another, a reason to stay committed even when the competition offers something cheaper, faster, or newer. But purpose isn't just about external impact. It transforms the way organizations function from within. A workforce that is connected to purpose works differently. They don't see their jobs as tasks to complete, but as contributions to something greater. They don't burn out as easily because their energy comes from a sense of meaning rather than pressure to perform. They don't need constant incentives to stay engaged because their motivation isn't external, it's internal. Leaders who understand the infinite impact of purpose don't just build companies, they build cultures. They don't just focus on winning today, they focus on creating something that will still matter decades from now. They recognize that while business strategies must evolve, purpose remains the constant. It's the foundation on which everything else is built. This is why some companies fail despite having the best technology, the best talent, and the best resources, because they lack a unifying purpose that keeps them moving forward. And this is why some organizations, despite facing challenges, setbacks, and competition, continue to inspire and grow. They are not just playing for short-term wins, they are playing for something bigger, something that lasts, something infinite. Walk into any high-performing team, any thriving organization, any community where people show up every day willing to give their best, and you will find one thing at the core: trust. Trust is the foundation of commitment. Without it, people hesitate, they hold back, they do only what is required of them, never fully investing themselves in the mission. But when trust is present, something different happens. People step forward, they contribute freely, they give more than what's expected. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Trust isn't built with policies or procedures. It's not written in mission statements or carved into company values hanging on the wall. Trust is built through actions. Consistent, authentic, human actions. Think about the best leader you've ever worked with. What made them different? Was it their intelligence, their credentials, their ability to set aggressive targets? Probably not. It was likely something deeper. Their ability to create an environment where you felt safe, where you felt valued, where you felt like you mattered. In organizations where trust is lacking, people operate from a place of fear. They worry about making mistakes. They hesitate to take risks. They keep their ideas to themselves, afraid of criticism or rejection. And when people operate in fear, they do the minimum required to stay safe. They protect themselves rather than push boundaries. They follow rules instead of challenging norms. They survive instead of thrive. But in environments where trust exists, people feel safe to speak up. They share ideas freely. They are willing to take risks, not because they are reckless, but because they know that even if they fail, they won't be abandoned. They know that their contributions are valued, that their voice matters, that their efforts are recognized. And when people feel safe, they push themselves further. They challenge old ways of thinking. They create. They innovate. They commit, not out of obligation, but out of genuine belief in what they are doing. Belonging is the emotional glue that holds trust together. It's one thing to feel safe at work. It's another to feel like you truly belong. Humans are wired for connection. We are social creatures. From the earliest days of humanity, our survival depended on being part of a group. Being excluded from the tribe meant danger. It meant vulnerability. It meant a higher chance of failure. This instinct hasn't changed today. It's not about survival in the wilderness, but it is about survival in our organizations, our teams, our workplaces. When people feel like outsiders in their own workplace, they disengage. They clock in, do their job, and leave. They don't build relationships. They don't contribute beyond what is required. They don't feel invested in the success of the team because deep down, they don't feel like they are part of it. But when people feel like they belong, they bring their full selves to work. They don't just contribute their skills, they contribute their energy, their passion, their loyalty. They go beyond the job description. They stay late not because they are told to, but because they care. They help a struggling teammate not because it's required, but because they see that person as part of their tribe. A sense of belonging doesn't happen by accident. It happens when leaders make the deliberate choice to create an environment where people feel seen, heard, and valued. It happens when leaders listen, really listen to the concerns of their people. It happens when they create spaces where diversity isn't just tolerated, but embraced. It happens when leaders recognize effort, acknowledge contributions, and show people that they are an essential part of something bigger. In organizations where belonging is strong, employees don't refer to the company as a separate entity. They say we. They don't talk about their job as just work. They talk about it as a shared mission. They don't feel like they are just another employee. They feel like they are part of a team, a family, a movement. Trust and belonging are not perks. They are not nice-to-haves. They are fundamental to commitment. If people don't trust their leaders, they won't follow them with their whole hearts. If people don't feel like they belong, they won't stay when things get hard. If people don't feel safe, they won't take risks, share ideas, or bring their best to the table. Leadership is not about making easy choices. It's about making the hard ones. The choices that don't always have a clear answer. The decisions that come with risk, uncertainty, and consequence. Every leader at some point will face a moment where they have to make a choice that could define the future of their team, their company, or even their own career. And in those moments, the weight of uncertainty can feel overwhelming. Most people look for clarity in data, in analysis, in predictions about what will work and what won't. They gather opinions, consult advisors, run reports, and search for certainty before making a move. But here's the truth. There is no perfect data set. No spreadsheet will tell you with absolute certainty what the right decision is. No amount of research will eliminate every risk. This is where many leaders get stuck. They become paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. They wait for more information. They delay action. They analyze and overanalyze until the opportunity to act has passed. And when they finally do make a decision, it's often based on short-term factors. What will satisfy investors? What will look good on paper? What will deliver immediate results? Rather than what aligns with the deeper purpose of the organization. But when a leader has a clear sense of purpose, hard decisions become clearer. Purpose acts as a compass. It doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it provides direction. It helps leaders see beyond the immediate pressures and focus on what truly matters. Think about it like this. Imagine you are lost in the wilderness, unsure of which path to take. You could study the terrain, analyze the weather, try to predict which way is safest, but without a compass, every direction looks the same. Now, imagine you have a compass in your hand. The landscape is still uncertain, the risks are still there, but now you have something to orient yourself. You may not know the exact path, but you know which way to go. Purpose is that compass. When leaders make decisions based on purpose rather than fear, they move with confidence. They don't need to second-guess every move because they are anchored in something deeper than numbers or opinions. They don't waste time chasing short-term wins that compromise long-term vision. They don't make choices based on what is easiest, but on what is right. Look at the leaders who have built organizations that stand the test of time. They are not the ones who always made the most profitable decisions in the short run. They are the ones who made decisions that stayed true to their core beliefs, even when it was difficult, even when it meant walking away from a lucrative deal, even when it meant disappointing stakeholders who only cared about immediate returns. Making hard decisions with purpose also builds trust. When people see a leader who stands by their values, they feel safer. They don't have to guess what the leader will do next because they know that every decision will be rooted in something consistent, something unshakable. But when a leader makes choices that seem reactive or inconsistent, trust erodes. Employees, customers, and partners start to question whether the leader is truly committed to what they say they believe in. This is why some companies thrive, even in the face of massive industry shifts, while others crumble under pressure. When a company is clear on its purpose, it doesn't get distracted by trends that don't align with its mission. It doesn't panic when competitors take a different path. It doesn't make decisions based on fear of missing out. It stays true to its direction, adapting when necessary, but never compromising on what matters most. The hardest decisions are rarely about choosing between good and bad. They are about choosing between two paths that both have merit, both have risk, and both have unknown outcomes. Without purpose, those decisions feel impossible. But with purpose, even the toughest choices become clearer. Many people believe that purpose is something we create, that if we sit in a room long enough, brainstorm hard enough, or write down enough ideas, we can manufacture a purpose that sounds compelling. Leaders do this all the time. They craft vision statements filled with impressive words. They create slogans designed to inspire. They construct mission statements that look great on a website. But real purpose isn't something we make up. It's something we uncover. It's something that already exists within us, within our organizations, within the people we serve. It's not created, it's discovered. Think about the companies that have stood the test of time. They didn't start with a product and then try to find a purpose to match. They started with a belief, a conviction, a fundamental reason for existing that drove every decision they made. The product, the services, the business strategies, all of that came later. Their purpose existed long before their success, and it continued long after their original products evolved or changed. This is why companies that try to invent a purpose often struggle. They create a tagline, they roll out a new campaign, they hold motivational meetings, but nothing really changes. Employees don't feel more connected. Customers don't suddenly become loyal. The company might experience a brief surge of energy, but it fades quickly because it's not built on something real. It's built on an idea someone thought sounded good, rather than a truth that already existed. Purpose is something deeper. It's rooted in the origins of a company, the experiences of a leader, the needs of the people being served. It's found by looking backward before looking forward, by understanding why something began in the first place, rather than trying to force a purpose onto it after the fact. The same is true for individuals. We don't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to invent my purpose. We don't sit at a desk, list out options, and pick the one that sounds best. We discover our purpose by looking at the moments that have shaped us, the experiences that moved us, the challenges we've faced, the lessons we've learned, the things that have stirred something deep inside us. Ask anyone who truly lives with purpose how they found it, and they won't tell you they made it up. They'll tell you they realized it was there all along. They'll tell you about a defining moment, a moment that changed them, a moment where they felt something so deeply that they couldn't ignore it. It wasn't about sitting down and writing a clever mission statement. It was about paying attention to what had always mattered to them. This is why purpose is often uncovered in struggle. It's found in the hard moments, the failures, the setbacks. It's revealed when we are tested, when we are pushed to our limits, when we are forced to question what really matters. Companies discover their purpose not when things are easy, but when they face challenges that demand they define who they really are. Individuals find their purpose not when everything is going smoothly, but when they are confronted with something they can't walk away from, something they feel compelled to change, to improve, to fight for. Purpose isn't about grand statements or perfect words. It's about something real, something lived, something that resonates so deeply that it can't be ignored. It's about stripping away what doesn't matter, getting to the core of what does. It's about asking what has always been true rather than what sounds inspiring. It's about looking at our history, our values, our defining moments, and recognizing the thread that connects them all. When leaders understand that purpose is discovered, not invented, they stop trying to force it. They stop looking for the right words and start looking for the real meaning. They stop chasing trends and start asking deeper questions. They stop trying to create something from scratch and start paying attention to what has always been there. Purpose is not something we decide on. It's something we uncover, something we remember, something we finally see with clarity when we take the time to look in the right place. At the heart of every great leader, every enduring company, and every movement that has shaped the world, there is one unshakable truth. Purpose is the foundation of commitment, trust, and impact. It is not a strategy. It is not a marketing tool. It is the reason people follow, the reason organizations thrive, and the reason leaders stand firm when the weight of responsibility becomes heavy. When leaders anchor themselves in purpose, the hardest decisions become clearer. The people around them feel safe, valued, and connected to something greater than themselves. Trust and belonging fuel commitment, and commitment fuels extraordinary results. But purpose is not something we create. It is something we uncover. It has always been there, woven into the experiences that shaped us, the beliefs that drive us, and the impact we want to leave behind. The question is not whether we have a purpose. The question is whether we are willing to do the work to discover it, to live by it, and to lead through it. Those who lead with purpose don't just build businesses. They don't just achieve success. They create movements. They inspire action. They leave a legacy that outlasts them. Because while numbers may fade, while titles and achievements may be forgotten, purpose endures. And those who find their why will always have something worth fighting for.